Hello everyone, it's your dude, James, coming back to you with a new episode. New setup, what is this? Oh my god, he's not on a couch. What is going on? I did get a new desk in my apartment, which I'm using for work, and it's elevated, and so, you know, when you take in those pictures or videos, you want the downward angle. You know, it makes everything look better. So we're going to try that out today. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if we're going to continue or not, but welcome back to another episode of Dude Knits. My name is James. I'm coming to you from Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is mostly my fiber podcast. Feel free to join me to watch. I do have notes today. Look, proof. Don't judge the penmanship, okay? Don't judge it. But I do have notes. There's lots of things to go over. I was very ambitious, and I got a lot of stuff done too. So lots to share with you all that may have not seen those updates. But yeah, feel free to join me. Grab something to drink. Grab your knitting. You do you, boo. I'm not going to judge. I am drinking out of my You David coffee mug, which I bought for myself when I bought a different mug for my other friend. I think it was her birthday. I'm like, she gets one, I get one. So grab your tea, your coffee, your water. You do your wine. It's still the weekend here. You do you. But I am coming to you from Green Bay, Wisconsin, where it has snowed in the last 7 days, like 4 of the last 7 days. And it's cold, which is perfect when you want to wear some of your knits. And so this is my my first Raglan by Jared Flood. I'm pretty sure that's right. I did this as my first sweater I've ever done. It's a top-down Raglan. I learned a ton. I did some stripes, which I think look great. And it's still winter, so I get to wear it. And so I was very excited. I would do a couple things over again, but I do love the sweater. I love how it feels. I would do the top a little different. And I don't know if this is just because maybe it pulled out a little bit. I should really try reblocking it, but this is too wide. You can see where my t-shirt is. You can see a lot of my t-shirt. And so if I would do this over again, I would probably change the neckline. And I know a bunch of you are saying, well, why don't you change it right now? I don't know where this yarn is, and I'm okay with it like this. It's a learning point, and I've got several other sweaters on the needle, and I'm going to change how I do them. If I wear this one a little bit less, that's okay for me. Also, knowing my laundry habits, I'll still get to wear this one no matter what. So it is all good. So I pulled this out. I went to my usual Sunday knitting. Green Bay has a wonderful coffee shop called Kavarna. I love it. I'm there almost every Sunday. I also have a cat in my apartment. Her name is Artemis, who has decided that right now, out of any time she could have, she wants to play with her plastic bag, which she has as a toy. So, excuse me. That's the water bottle. Welcome to the podcast. This is what we do. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I love it. I got the yarn from... I got it online. It's not Must Be Merino because it's not from Hobby Lobby. It is... She really went right back to the bag, I swear. It's discontinued. They don't make it anymore, so it doesn't really matter. Which was awful because I loved working with this yarn. It was pretty affordable price point, but that's where we're at. This is what I'm wearing. I have several finished objects, and the last podcast I talked about my laundry list of things I wanted to do this year. I got a lot done. I did a lot. One of the things I did is I did 2 pairs of DK socks. Here's one of them. I'm not showing you all of them because I mentioned laundry, and that's a thing. And I wore the first pair so much, I knew I instantly needed to make a second pair. So these socks are, let me check my notes, DK Weight Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. So they're DK, my first ever DK socks. And yeah, they went fast. They went so fast. I got the yarn from Fiber in Neenah, Wisconsin. And one's an MCN, merino cashmere nylon, and the other one I think is just a wool nylon blend. She's gonna be all over the episode tonight. It's just water, folks. She's fine. If you're really worried about it, I don't care. She's my cat, not yours. Welcome to the podcast. So yeah, these are wonderful. I did the contrasting heel toes cuffs. The ankle piece, sorry, I should explain that a little bit better. When I did the heel flapping gusset, for the first 4 rows after I finished, I just kept it with that contrast color, and it creates this nice little detail, which I just like. So they're not very long because I don't want them very long. I really just wear them. We did them as like bed socks. I don't wear socks to bed. So now that my desk is near, you can't see it, on the opposite side of you, there's a balcony that looks outside because I like looking at the sky and the outside when I work. I worked for several years in a basement with no window, so I'm taking advantage. But it gets cold, and so I wear these because I'm not usually wearing shoes inside my apartment. And it keeps my feet nice and warm. I freaking love these. They're so fast to knit up. So I did 2 pairs of these, and I still have some leftover yarn. Not enough to make another pair, but close to making another pair if I switch the colors around. So yeah, I love these. I did change the pattern a little bit. Like I said, I added the ankle detail. I went down 4 stitches. I can't remember the exact count, but I followed the recipe. It was the medium size. I went down 2 stitches because I'm a traditionally loose knitter. The rest of my details are on my Ravelry page because I'm trying to keep that up this year. So feel free to check it out. Dude Knits 89 on Ravelry. Yeah, those are the socks, the first thing I've done. I have also, this was supposed to go till, I can't remember what I said, the end of, I think I said the end of May or the end of July, because I wanted to bring them to the mini meetup, but I did finish the Burra Cowl. So here it is in all of its glory. This is the blue side. I changed 2 colors. I changed this blue right here, close up, with, there's like a little pink here. On the other side, you can see there's the pink. And so it's a pretty noticeable difference between the 2 sides, just changing 1 color around. And I loved how this turned out. I blocked it with some vanilla eucalyptus, and I've never used Jameson before, and this is my first time using it, my first completed project. It blocked so nicely. It took only 1 day to block, and I wet block. That's my preferred method. Like, I soak it for 15 minutes, roll it in a towel, stand on the towel, and then I pinned it out, and I pinned it so that the sides were, one side is where I started the round, the other side is where, for half of it, I did it in magic loop, and then I noticed you can kind of see the join, and so then I switched to a smaller size circular, and it wasn't in magic loop, and so I did it on those 2 sides. You can hardly tell, like there's some spots you can tell, but nobody's gonna know. When I put it on, it does stay up, which that's how it looks in the pattern. In the picture, it is 8 inches, so it's the correct length. It softened up a ton after I blocked it. And I wore it once or twice. I think I was having Sunday morning knitting with Dawn a week or 2 ago, and she suggested that I wear it like this, and then you have the jacket. I'm like, well, that's such a good idea. So that's how I wear it with the jacket. I haven't worn it too often because I work from home, and so I just haven't gone outside when it's been that snowy. There's no need for me to do that, but that is definitely how I'd wear it, just flat like this. And it's done. It's not big enough to wear up like this because then the back of my head is not covered. Some cowls you can do that. But I loved it. The last repeat was the hardest repeat to get done, just because I was over it by that point. I feel like I've gotten pretty good with the muscle memory for color work. My tension is still not perfect anywhere near that, but I did two-stranded color work, one yarn in each hand, and I got used to that muscle memory. So this was wonderful. For all of those folks worried about how much yarn you're gonna have left over, this is where I kept my project bag. I got this as a gift at Christmas, a ton of these like snap bags. Let's see, I didn't use that color. And then there's one more color I didn't use. Let's see, I don't know where it is. Or maybe I didn't put it in here. But let me just show you. I have a ton of these left over. Just a ton. And some colors you use more of, but where is, oh, this color I didn't use. This is my second skein. I barely broke into it of the main color. Barely broke into it. Most of these, like, they look like they could be full skeins. They're not. I used some grams. I mean, I weighed it, and I think the least amount of yarn that I used was about 3 grams. The most would be my main color, which I used a full skein, and then I started the second, and I had 22 grams left over out of a 25 gram ball. So I only used 3 grams of my main color. But yeah, you get a ton left over. So if you want to do another repeat, depending on your tension and your gauge and all that good stuff, I really think you probably could. The worst thing you might have to do is you might have to change your colors around, but I could have easily gotten another full repeat, if not more. So if you wanted to do more of the scarf, you could do that. Or if you want to change up colors, you can do that too. I know there's several people that come to either my Zoom knitting, which I host on Tuesday nights, or they go to Around the Table Yarns Zoom knitting, which they have that on Monday nights and Thursday nights. You can check out their website for the link and the details. And several people go to both, and there's people in both knitting the Burra Cowl, and some people are changing all of their colors every main repeat, and I can't wait to see what theirs look like. Of course, they're not insane like me, and you know, they're more slow and steady, because most of the people that are doing this as a knit along are giving you at least like 7 months. It started the first of the year. I started a little early because I'm impatient and I wanted to, so I did. But yeah, this is a giveaway, so feel free to post on my Ravelry thread. There's actually going to be 2 threads you could post this in. And we will draw prizes. I can't remember when. It's either May, June, or July, so several months from now. Next episode, I'll give you more concrete details. But yeah, that's one of the cowls that I finished, and it was on my list of things. And it gave me great practice to do. I want to do some type of sweater that has color work. I don't want to do all over color work. That's just too much. I want to do some with like maybe just the yoke, or maybe some sleeve and bottom of the sweater details. I'm really thinking about the winter woods. I think I might have mentioned that last time. Thinking about doing that one. We'll see. Not anytime soon though for that. The other cowl that I had on my list was the Kuma cowl, which I loved. Loved every second of it. The Kuma cowl I did with a kit from Around the Table Yarns, their Manos del Uruguay kit, which they have another kit up if you're looking for one. The yarn is beautiful to work with. It feels so good. And then I used it with some mohair, the Concerta mohair, which I got from Fiber. Nope, I lied. I got it from Icon Fibers in the De Pere local area here. That's Josh's store. So I literally knit this cowl. There it is. There it is. Literally knit it in 2 days. That's it. It's such a quick knit. I did modify it slightly. Oh, it's so warm. I won't be able to keep it on. I knitted on a US, I think it calls for like a 10 and a 7, and I did it in an 8 and a 6. I'm a normally loose knitter anyways, but it gives me a ton. I can wear it like this. Like if you wanted to wear it when it's really cold, the mohair in it, if you can wear mohair, I know there's a lot of folks that are allergic, but if you can wear the mohair, it feels amazing. Just purely amazing. So warm. And Carol pointed this out, my friend Carol, from New Jersey, who you have to watch your eyes around because she might stab them out. She's going to hate that I said that. But I have a t-shirt, so you all know. In between the colors, you do a section of just 2 mohair rounds. And I won't tell you how to do those because it is a paid-for pattern. But it creates this hinge. Like when you fold it, it folds really nicely right there because of just those 2 mohair rounds. I did not like the experience of knitting that mohair. It was really hard to get with my needles. It was hard to see because it was so tiny and thin. I'm like, maybe I can get away if I just do the 1 strand of the color and not do the color and the mohair. It doesn't. I did that between these 2, and you don't get the same hinge that you get here. Here it hinges a lot easier. It doesn't. So I went back to all the other rows. I didn't rip it out in case you're curious. I did all the other rows with just the mohair rows. It's worth it. I think it's kind of fiddly. I hated it. I will probably never knit anything with just a single strand of mohair. And I probably won't do anything with 2 strands of mohair either. Not my thing. I will still use it because it is so incredibly warm. And I do think I'm fortunate that I'm not allergic to it. So I'll still use it, but I won't do the single strand. If you did this with a different yarn, like if you held 2 fingering weights together, or if you did it with like, there's a yarn called Make It Tweed, which I will show in a little bit, I think you might be able to get the same type of hinge effect. Or if you did it with a lace weight and a fingering weight yarn, you might be able to do some really cool things with that whole hinge effect, which makes it lays completely different than the Burra Cowl, and I use them for different things. I have a part-time job. I work at a local hospital here, and on the weekends I work from 2 to 10:30 p.m. So for me that's pretty late, and on these frigid Wisconsin nights, this thing is perfect to wear on my walk back to the parking lot and then for my drive, because it takes a while for the car to warm up. And so the mohair in this makes it worth it 100%. So I use it for nights like that. But if it's like, oh, it's kind of cold and you should have something, not this, because it's too warm. I know a lot of folks won't work with mohair, or they won't wear mohair after a certain part of the year because it's just too warm. And I agree wholeheartedly. So, yep, those are my finished objects. I got a lot done. And a lot of it was actually from my list. So imagine that. I also did a couple other things. I did make a couple washcloths. I do that on my part-time job if I'm able to do that. And I started a couple other projects. So I have a couple works in progress to share with you all as well. But for some reason, I'm talking a lot. Imagine that. And I'm thirsty. So this is coffee that I'm drinking. It is late in the day. We'll see how this goes for me. It's not a great, it's on like the cusp. Usually I say after like 4 or 5 p.m. I can't drink coffee. I don't drink a ton of coffee a day. My coffee, if people saw it, people would laugh at my coffee machine because it's literally like a 5-cup, this tiny little carafe. It has 1 button and that's how to turn it on. There's no screen. You can't set it. Nothing like that. It's very simple. Coffee machine, and I've recently got hooked on hand ground coffee, or just grinded coffee where you grind it yourself. That's not pre-ground. And so I bought a coffee grinder. You get what you pay for. It burned out after like 2 weeks. So then I ordered one that was a hand grind one, so I can hand grind my coffee. I know people are like, why would you want to put in all that work? Well, it'll never break. And if I eventually want to get another electric one, I can, and then I can keep this one for camping, or if the power ever goes out, or I don't know. And I know some of you will say, well, if the power goes out, how are you going to make coffee? I have gas, and so I can still heat the water I will still be able to have coffee if the power goes out. That's not a concern. But yeah, I love dark roast coffee. Kavarna sells their beans. That's a coffee shop I go to on Sunday mornings. So that's what I'm drinking. It's, I think, a dark blend. It's their Ethiopian blend. It's delicious. It has notes of flavors. I don't know what those are. I'm a little worried about getting too deep into the coffee world because I don't think you can go back. I don't think you can go into the coffee, get really good with all the hand ground stuff. And I had, mentees that I was mentoring that were big and bought their own electronic pitchers. They would time how long they, put the coffee grounds in for, all that stuff. And I'm sure it was amazing. But once you have that, how do you go back? So it's already bad enough that I can't buy the pre-ground coffee anymore because I can notice a difference. But I can't tell you what kind of notes are in here. All I can tell you is that it's delicious. And I love it. I'm going to continue to drink it as we chat. And there's nobody else here, so there's going to be some silence. You're welcome. So those are my finished objects. I gave you all a laundry list last time of the things I wanted to do. We're getting close to the last couple dates I had, and I'm not planning to put any more official dates out there. I want to get these 2 next FOs that I'm going to show you done. There's one other thing that I'm going to be casting on probably tomorrow, which I'll probably try and do in between my other works in progress. But I don't want to get too many more whips out there. So you're going to hear some crinkling. The first one is I did cast on the Autumn League. This has been a journey. I'm using Cascade 220, which is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. Look at that. It's almost true to color on the camera. It's a combination of greens and blues. Oh, I love it. It's non-superwash. It's phenomenal. It's great. Gauge issues are aplenty. They're all my fault. I shouldn't say several. All of those issues are my fault. I did a gauge swatch. Now you knit this sweater. It's a top-down Raglan sweater. It's basically the same sweater as this, except the neck is a little different and you have a little bit of detail right here where my finger is. And if you want to put it in split hems at the bottom, you can. I'm not going to do that. Otherwise, it's almost the same construction as this sweater. It's supposed to be knit in DK. Cascade 220 is a very affordable yarn. I got it at Icon Fiber Arts. It is more of a worsted. So I knew I needed to do my gauge swatch. I don't like doing that fake in the round gauge swatch. I probably should have. I just did it flat, which didn't really help me. But I did learn from the last sweater, that test knit that I did, that I should measure my gauge in the actual sweater. And so I did. And so the gauge is supposed to be 19 stitches in 4 inches. And I, for my gauge swatch, was getting about 18.5 stitches per 4 inches. Once I cast it on and started working, I was getting about 22 or 21 stitches per inch. So several folks, like Kim from Around the Table Yarns, really helped me a lot figuring out the math of how I should change some things, getting the correct stitch count, which I did, and that part worked out great. I put in a lifeline right before I split for sleeves because I knew that there might be issues. So I did that. I put in the lifeline, and you can actually see it. I should show you the actual sweater. So here is my sweater. Here it is. Here it is. The white line right there, that's my lifeline. Right here in the center, you can see this detail. I love this detail so much. The collar's not done. I'm going to go back and pick that up. There's my lifeline. I got about maybe 6 rows after that, and I tried it on, which is why I like doing top down. I can try it on, see how it fits on my body. And I realized I never measured My row gauge. I was more worried about the stitch gauge than the row gauge. That was a mistake. Everything's a learning experience for me. And so my row gauge was off somehow. I never actually measured it. I just knew that, oh, this was an error. Where my arms split for sleeves, right here, was too far up. So when I went to put my arms in, it felt weird. It felt bad. So I did actually, I know several of you are going to be shocked. I ripped out to my lifeline, which was a pain. And there's a reason I don't like it, and I still don't like it. But it was the right decision. Yes, I can learn. I can admit that. It was the right decision to rip back. And then I put another like 1.5 inches of just plain knitting down. And then I separated for sleeves. And now it feels amazing. I had it on the other night. I am about 7.5, 8 inches from my sleeve separation. So I have another, I think the pattern calls for 11, but this sweater I think is closer to 14. So I've got several more to go, but I do love just the plain knit all the way in the round. I did get some of these really cute needle stoppers. Aren't they adorable? The little red M&Ms, those were always my favorite. And they work super well. They were a gift, so I don't know, I can't remember where exactly they're from, but they keep the yarn on the needles. They work super great. I love them. They're phenomenal. And this sweater is absolutely coming along. I love it. It's good. Yep. And I'm in the sweater mood, and I'm trying to get this done. And the reason I'm focusing on this so much is I want to maybe be able to wear it for a couple weeks before it turns into the hotter part of spring/summer. The fact that it just snowed for 4 days gives me hope that maybe I'll get it done. Knowing my planning and my luck, it's way more likely that it'll be done and then it'll be like 70 degrees out. I'm a big dude. I'm not going to wear this sweater in 70 degrees. Even if I crank up my AC, it's not going to happen. So I love Penny from PJ Knits. Go watch her if you haven't. She's phenomenal. Really enjoy her podcast. She talks about wanting to knit for the season ahead, and I think that is so smart. Don't know why I never thought of that before, but I would like to try and do that as well, which means I really should skip a season, I think, and I should knit like in spring for the fall. Skip summer, where I normally do more washcloths, accessories, things like that, and do some more autumnal knitting. If I'm going to work on a blanket, which I would normally start in autumn, maybe I can do like a square or a pieced blanket and then not put it all together until the start of fall. I want to do some of that pre-planning ahead of time. So we'll see if that happens. But this is my first sweater, and I did say first because, you know me, I can't resist casting on. So I follow a new person on Instagram. It's the Instagram account Willy Nilly Knits. I find his energy is so charismatic, so uplifting. He does these tutorial videos that are like 90 seconds long, and I watch them and I think to myself, oh, I could do that. Like, they're really good tutorial videos. I love his energy. He's doing a knit along with folks for the Metropolis sweater, and the thing I love is I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be knit on chunky, and so I have some yarn from Stash. It's 100% acrylic, which I know some people won't like. I love the colors, and I love that when my hands start to hurt a little bit from working on the Autumn League, which I'm doing on a US 4, that I can switch to this, which I'm doing on a US 10. And so it feels great to switch the needle size and still be working on a sweater. And I love my colors for this. And so, let's see, I put a little stitch marker so I can remember which side's the front. That's the stitch marker for Frivolous and Frugal. Love it. And this is my Metropolis sweater. The neck is huge. I will absolutely be picking that up and doing a mock turtleneck with that because, like I said, I like the close ones, but I've already separated sorry for the clinking, separated for sleeves, and I've got a good like 4 or 5 inches. It goes a lot faster than the Autumn League because it's a bigger yarn, and so it's nice to feel that progress, and it's nice to switch between the two. It is made from 2 different acrylic yarns. One is Lion Brand Mandala. It's a yarn that I bought originally when my sister was pregnant with my nephew. It's my first nephew, and I was going to knit him a blanket because I love the colors. And she said that she didn't really like the colors, which was fine. It turned out great, but then I had 4 cakes of this mandala, and I'm like, well, I'll hold that with a different color that I had from Silver Thimble, the yarn shop that closed down in Green Bay. And so I love what it's doing for the colors. So they're all browns, greens, some blues are coming in now, and then they'll cycle back. I love how this looks. I love how it's going to look on me. And it's going to be great. We'll see. I'm a little worried about the Silver Thimble yarn because they came in 2 huge balls, and I only have the 2, whereas I have 4 of the cakes of the mandala. So we'll see what the sleeves look like. It might look more like a vest. Or it might have like quarter-length sleeves. I'm not sure I would like that. I normally roll my sleeves up. I like push them up on purpose. So it wouldn't be terrible, but I'll wave the second ball. We'll see how we get. I still have the second one, and like I said, I'm 4 inches from the sleeve separation. So all of this top part is with the same 1 ball of that yarn I'm holding with the mandala, which the reason I'm not saying the name of it is because I can't remember. I don't know where my tag is. No, that wasn't in my notes. Okay, if you're judging on that, that's fine. You do you, boo-boo. I don't really care. Not that I'm going to listen to the judgment, but you can judge if you want to judge. Yeah, so this is the second one, the Metropolis sweater. The other thing that I'm going to be doing, so we've moved from FOs, we did our whips. The other thing I'm going to be doing, I want to cast on another sock, probably fingering weight, because I have all those socks I was supposed to do last year that I still do kind of want to do, just to keep with me a smaller project, which is always nice to have that. So that's going to be at some point casted on. But I really want to do the Rainforest Canopy Shawl. That is a knit along that Around the Table Yarns is sponsoring, so I'm going to cast that on tomorrow. Normally if they host it, I try and use some of their own yarn because, I want to support them as a small business. But at the same time, I have 2 friends that dyed yarn. So my friend Agatha and my friend Melissa dyed these amazing hanks of yarn, and I want to use those 2. So that's what I'm going to do. I do still support Around the Table Yarns. I drew the winner last time. Y'all saw that. And I have some yarn from them to show you too. But yeah, the Rainforest Canopy, you can do that as a single skein. You can do it as 2 skeins. Or you can do more if you wanted to do more. But there's 2 shawls and 1 scarf in the same pattern. So you really do get your money's worth. The scarf is a rectangular scarf that you could knit. The 2 shawls, there's a smaller one and a bigger one. And the only difference that I could see without having knit it, so I didn't knit it yet, is that one of the shawls you have garter and one you have stockinette. So if you have a preference on how it looks, I am 100% certain you could use the pattern and do the one you preferred, even if like the smaller ones in stockinette or garter, you could do it for the larger one too. You all could figure that out. I have faith in you. So that is something that I am going to be doing tomorrow. So you will see that in the future episodes as well. But yeah, that's about it. The only other shawl that I wanted to talk about. So I was supposed to, on March 1st, cast on either the Pagona or the Garter Abyss shawl. Those were the 2 that I was considering. I might push that out a little bit just because I do want to focus on these sweaters right now. So I think I'm going to push it out till April. I'll have more information in my next episode. But for any of you that are following along, if you want to start it on March 1st, please feel free. Do not let me hold you up at all. I just really want to finish these sweaters, and I know they're not going to be done by March 1st. They're really going to be my priority, even though I'm starting that Rainforest Canopy shawl. And I might be saying it wrong. I'll have the actual title in the edits. The sweaters are going to be my priority because it's the time of year. I do want to finish it before it gets warm. That's the only other one. I am not saying anything else about any other ones I want to cast on. I'm giving myself the freedom. We'll see how I feel after these sweaters. If I want to do a sweater, if I want to do a smaller project, maybe I want to do some hats or something. I don't know. I'm keeping it open for right now. And I have traveling coming up and all that good stuff. So, yeah, there's several things going on in my world. And I also wanted to tell y'all about some knit-alongs that I'm doing. So I mentioned the Burra Cowl. That is still going on. You know, I've finished, but please join. There's several podcasters. They're listed below as the folks helping sponsor this. Feel free to participate in theirs. Look at their podcast for their specific details. I'll have more on my deadline coming up at my next episode. Some people are going all year. Some are not. I am not. I'll tell you the exact date next time. So that's one knit along that I'm doing. If you were here last year, thank you for sticking with me. And you know that I'm not about to do a year-long knit along. It's not a strength of mine that I have. So I'm not doing that. But I was really inspired by everybody that kind of had lists of things they wanted to do for the new year, had really great intentions. And so I want to help encourage that. I want to start a spring cleaning make-along. And so there will be prizes. There's a couple ground rules, not very many, because you know me, I ain't got time for a ton of ground rules. But I am starting that. So it's a spring cleaning make-along. And so I want to be inclusive of a whole bunch of different types of crafts. You have 2 places that you can put in entries. Feel free to double dip. I ain't gonna judge. You can put it on my Ravelry thread, which is up. It's open. Somebody's posted on it already. And that also has the ground rules. Or you can post to Instagram with the hashtag DKSpringMAL23. So that stands for Dude Knits Spring Cleaning Make Along 23. So that hashtag, which will be on your screen, DKSpringMAL23. That's what it'll be. And so the ground rules for this are pretty simple. I try to keep them simple. So it can be any type of crafty project that you started in 2023. So unfortunately, if you've had some languishing whips from years prior or from 2022, this is not the place for that. I'm sure there's other places that would be for that. So anything that you've started in 2023 and that you finish. So those are the 2 rules. You have to start it and it has to be done. That's it. So feel free. I know several people are doing the, what is it called? The Row by Row cowl by Irene from the Ply Podcast. That's an excellent cowl that just came out, and 100% of those funds are going to the mini meetup that the 3Ply ladies and Frivolous and Frugal help organize and kind of put on in Chicago at the end of July, which I will be going to. That's a great pattern. It knits up super fast. That's a great entry. It's done. If you've done any of the things that I've talked about, feel free to put those in. Again, the ground rules are you have to have started it and finished it in 2023. So if you were like me and started your burra a little early, that one would not count. It wouldn't be able to be put in there. But anything else that you've finished, I want to support us getting some of that spring cleaning done, sticking with our intentions. I know it felt great to get those cowls and those socks done. I'm like, hey, I kind of did what I said I would. Imagine that. It felt great. So feel free. And we do have some prizes. My heart is so full. Sandy is amazing. If you've been on our Zooms, you'll know Sandy. If you've been to the mini meetup, she is an amazing person. She did donate some prizes to the podcast. And she was kind of funny because I was talking to her about how much I loved what she did. And I was like, I'm supposed to give these away. I want to keep them. And so she said, well, I gave you one more than the total number she gave me, and that one, you can keep one. I was like, I don't want to keep them all and just give away one. So I wanted to do the opposite. She made these amazing, amazing bags, these totes. So she had 4 different kinds. So I will be giving away 4 of these at the end of the make-along, which is going until May 1st. So the make-along goes till May 1st. So you got some time yet. I wanted to give folks, really the intention was to finish those spring things that you had. The actual date of spring ending is somewhere in June. I'm like, oh, that's too long. I can't do that. So till May 1st, but she made these amazing bags. It says Dude Knits, and this is a pocket. Look at that. And this is her design. She always has these inside pockets. This is a pocket, and this is a zipper. She made these. They look so good. And not only, she didn't do just one, she had 4 different fabrics. Look at this one. Look how good that looks. And it says, knitting, grow where you are planted, to knit or to not knit. There is no question. And then the inside fabric, like, serious. These are such high quality. I'm not a sewist. She is a sewist, and an amazing one at that. And she's probably so mad at me right now for saying this on the podcast, but they're so good. They're so good. Look at those alpaca and the sheep and the goats. Oh, and the inside fabric, it looks so good, you guys. I can't believe I'm giving these away because I'm selfish and I don't mind keeping things, but I'm going to be giving away some of these. I am keeping one. This is the one I'm keeping for myself. It's got a bunch of yarn and needles. It says, they all say Dude Knits on them. They are amazing. It's got sheep on there's stuff in it because of course I'm already using it. Sheep and yarn on the inside. My heart is so full. Sandy is amazing. If you come and join us on Tuesday nights, you'll get to meet her because she usually is there, and she's an awesome, awesome person. So thank you so much, Sandy. We really appreciate it here at the podcast. And those will be some of the prizes that you could win for the spring cleaning mal that is going on. So that's my upcoming mal. I did want to start a new section for the podcast. If you don't want to stick around, that's okay. But a lot of folks had really strong intentions this year of trying to fall in love with your stash again. People had intentions of using some of the yarn that are in their stash. And so I'm going to do just a little segment where I bring out some of the yarn from my stash to share with all of you, just to kind of show some things that I fell in love again with my stash. I bought it for a reason, or I was gifted it and I accepted it for a reason. And so I think it's just fun to share some of that with you all, and maybe it inspires you to see your stash in a different way. I cannot promise that all of these places are still selling yarn or still making yarn, but I wanted to share some of my stash with you. So that's the next section. I'm going to start with the one I'm not 100% sure on. I'm fairly sure this is Ancient Arts, which I got from Around the Table Yarn, but of course I misplaced the label. But isn't that some amazing colors? There's blues and tans and browns, and I'm fairly sure it's a sock yarn. It's just amazing, and I definitely want to use this. I'm not sure in what, but it's already kicked up, so it's ready to go. So I probably had some plan at some point. But I am so excited for this. This is a gifted yarn that I got. This is Handmaiden. And so it is 70% silk, 30% camel. And my wonderful friend Lisa gave this to me because I was talking about how I wanted to use the camel fiber because I've never used camel. And so look at these colors. You guys, the purple, the like brown to almost gray, the maroon. It feels so soft. It has to be something that I'm going to wear near my face. Or maybe gloves. I don't know. It feels amazing. If you all have used camel before, feel free to put in the chat, like if you have any recommendations of patterns. I am so excited to cake this up and use this. Again, I'm not doing it right now, but I'm falling in love with it again. A couple other yarns. So this is Western Sky Knits. One of my friends vacationed in Montana, or they drove through Montana, and so they brought some souvenir yarn, and so it is a beautiful. Again, there's some purples, some light colors in there. Oh, I am loving it. I'm loving it. And almost all of this is fingering yarn because I was looking for yarns for that Rainforest Canopy, which is knit and fingering weight, and so that's why you're seeing all of this right now. The colorway is Pressed Flowers, and it's a superwash merino 75/25 merino nylon. I love it. It is so soft and gorgeous. Oh, I can't wait to knit something with it. Then I had a couple other things that I was just digging through. So this is from Trilogy Yarns on their Glamorous base. It is the first Advent kit I ever ordered, and it's the full skein you get. It's called Practical Magic, which was the name of the Advent kit, and also one of my favorite Halloween movies. I'm not a big scary movie guy. It is beautiful. It's not, the color isn't showing up quite as like deep and rich as it is in person. It's all dark pinks, purples, some yellow in there. Oh, it is amazing. Can't wait to use this. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm falling in love all over again. I'm staying strong with my sweaters. But I am loving this yarn. And then I got some yarn from Frogget. This I got when I was in Maryland last year. It's hand dyed in Pennsylvania. And they had a really cool trailer that you could walk in, and it wall-to-wall yarns, which is such a clever idea. It's like you have a mobile yarn shop. Okay, I'm not going to complain about that. They were super nice, and this has a lot of, I would call it like copper, almost penny color with a light blue. And I was all about the coppers in Maryland, and so I love that coppery, golden copper color. It was just beautiful. I completely forgot I bought this. Pretty sure it's, 75/25 merino nylon. It's like I had a theme. I love this. I don't know if it'll be socks or what it'll grow up to be, but it's gorgeous. I love it. I should really pull more of all those copper colors together. That's a good idea. If I wanted to do a bigger project. And actually, those are pretty close. Look at that. They're not exactly the same blues in person, but I could definitely do a fade with this. We'll see. We'll think on it. We're falling in love. We're going to use it. And then, so I had actually, my friend Agatha had been selling, she used to sell yarn, a Magpie Knits, and I don't think she has intentions of doing that anymore, but she did list a couple things. And so one of those I'm going to use for the Rainforest shawl, the Rainforest Canopy shawl. Again, I'm saying it wrong, but at least I know it. I know that I'm saying it wrong. But then I have the other one too, which I love these colors. I love how it feels. This is a little bit lighter than a lot of my other color palettes, so it could stand out really nicely. I really like it, and I want to know what it wants to be when it grows up. I want to know. So this one's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon. So we'll see. It is so soft. I can't help smelling my yarn. You know I do that. So yeah, that's all of my yarny content. I did have just a little bit of a life update. I'm never offended if you don't want to stick around for that. I'm going to try and do that maybe at the end of my podcast so I get through some of the content for once. This is a longer episode for me. So my life is going pretty good. I'm still working from home, still adjusting. It is such a transition, changing careers, and for me, the life balance, it's amazing. You know, I worked with a lot of very tough, very stressful situations. And so actually this morning at coffee knitting, I was talking with several of my friends about how it kind of feels like I'm still on vacation. Like I'm unwinding, I'm de-stressing. And I'm struggling to realize that this is my new normal, that my life does not have to be that perpetual state of stress that it was in the past. And I'm not saying that my prior job does that to everyone. Um, that's just how I lived, though. I dealt with very stressful situations, and I no longer do. I don't do that. Even when I work at my part-time job at the hospital and there's medical situations, I don't carry it with me when I leave, because I do everything I can possibly do to be there for the patients at that time, and then I leave. And then I don't often see the patients weekend to weekend. I might see them the same weekend I work, the 2 days I work, but after that, I don't. I do the best I can, and I'm okay with that. That kind of feeds my soul for giving back and helping people. But I'm trying to acclimate to my new normal, which I work with very supportive people. I found some formal and informal mentors with my new job, which is amazing to work with them. And I'm finally at the point where I'm feeling pretty good. You know, you start a new job and you're waiting around to get work, basically, because you're new. Like, there's a lot of training. It takes a little while, and everybody tells you you're gonna wish you had these times. You're gonna be busy. And I knew they were right. And I've gone through that again, and I went from wishing I had more work to having maybe a little too much work to now evening out a little bit more. And they have actually a really nice checklist for, hey, after the first 30 days, the first 60 days, the first 90 days, here's some things that you should be able to do. And I went through that last week just to see where I was at, because I hadn't pulled it up in a while. And sure enough, I was checking all the boxes. I'm like, oh, I can do all of these tasks. I can do all of these work items. And it just made me feel really good and really excited about some of my next steps with the company. And we'll see what happens. I'm continuing to network at work. I'm continuing to get to know folks. I can't do anything for another 3 months. I kind of signed some things saying that I wouldn't for the first 6 months. And so, long story short, I am still loving working at home. I'm still loving the new folks that I'm working with. I do miss some of my university folks. I don't miss the work, though, so that tells me I did the right thing for me, for my life. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I am having to do and be a little bit more intentional with my physicality. That's one of the reasons I have the new desk, is I can stand with the desk now. There's too much sitting happening. I still go to the gym. I still do some of those things, but I've also started to incorporate some stretching, some yoga at home. And I'm trying to really focus on my physical health moving forward, because there's no excuse for me not to. One, I know how to do some of those things. I've done them for years, and it's the consistency I've struggled with. And there's nothing holding me back. This isn't actually vacation. This is my day-to-day life. And so I need to get on more of a routine. I want to do some of those things, focus on my health. That is a really nice segue. And I've also been just taking care of my health. I've gone to the dentist. I've gotten some really good news, worked with some people. I'm not diagnosed with anxiety or anything like that, but I don't like the dentist. I hate calling it anxiety, because I know folks do have diagnosed anxiety, but it is awful for me to go, and it has been entirely too long. I went to Midwest Dental in Green Bay. They're phenomenal. The dental hygienist I work with, she was great at putting me calm, explaining things, doing all of that. Got me back on track with my dental health. I didn't have any major issues. There was some deep cleaning that needed to happen, but no cavities, no root canals, no teeth getting pulled, none of that. So I'm very thankful, and I will absolutely go back. I'll absolutely refer anybody to that dentist. They were great. I didn't actually talk to the dentist themselves. It was more the hygienist who I spent time with, but that makes sense. They were so good to work with me to do all of that. Family-wise, things are going good. I would like to see my siblings a little bit more. We started to do like every week or every other week, trying to get together and do like a dinner or a brunch. We just had a baby shower for one of my cousins, and they're also moving away, so that happened. So I got to see a lot of family. But the week before that, we had brunch at my mom's, and the week or 2 weeks before that, we had lunch at my brother's. And so it's just nice to connect with family, to be around my nephews who are so stinking cute, and they're growing so fast and they're so big already, and that makes me incredibly sad. They're amazing little kids, and I love my family. That's why I live where I live. Otherwise, I would not live where the air hurts my face. I just wouldn't, but my family's here and they're not going to move. So, yeah, family is doing well. I'm thankful to see all of them. I wish I could see some folks a little bit more. My cousin Amber and I work out pretty regularly. She's so cute. Her and her son will often watch the podcast. And her youngest will be watching it without her there. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he'll say, "He needs the views, Mom." This cute little kid. I love them. So Cody or Amber, if you're watching, hey. I don't know if they ever actually watch all the way to the end, because they don't knit or crochet. So we'll see. But I wish I could see them a little bit more. Typical life stuff, kids are busy, sports, all that good stuff. I try and go when I can. My part-time job on the weekends kind of gets in the way, which I knew would happen, but we do what we can. We try and see each other when we can, and I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the Zooms that I go to. I host a Tuesday Zoom. Y'all are welcome. Details are in the description box below. I also go to Around the Table Zoom. They host some phenomenal ones. Kim, all the folks there are awesome. Frivolous and Frugal had one of their Saturday Zooms, which I got to go to. It was so nice. Got to see some people I haven't seen in a while. It just really fed my soul to see that community and to have folks go. I really, really appreciated it. And then, like I said, Penny just had her first Saturday Zoom. So I work every other Saturday, so I don't know how many I'll be able to go to, but that was really fun too. It was a slightly smaller group, which means you kind of get to know people a little bit more. So I liked it. Got to meet some people I've never saw before. So that was awesome. I'm not trying to keep talking until I hit an hour, but I'm almost there. And so I think that was, let me check my list, everything I wanted to catch you up on. Busy, updates, family. Oh, I did get my passport for Montreal. So if any of y'all have any recommendations, I'm going to Knit City, Montreal in May. So I'm super excited, super pumped. I'm doing the knit-in for that. I cannot wait. So if any of you are going, let me know. I'd love to connect with you all. I'd love to see you all. I'm so excited to see my friends that I really only see through Zoom at Montreal. I'm doing that. Locally, I'm going to Magpies Fibers has a knit-in, and so that's going to be in April. I'm planning to do that. And then the end of July, I'm going to the Frivolous and Frugal 3-Ply Ladies mini meetup in Hoffman Estates in Chicago. And so I'm so excited for all those different meetups for different reasons, and amazing people will be at all of them. I can't wait. And so we will see what happens, but that's what's going on in my life. That's what's going on with my knitting. Longer episode because it's been a while since y'all have seen me. What's new? I am not going to say when you'll see the next episode, but I am going to say there will be a next episode. I'm planning on it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'd love to be more consistent, but I also know myself and my life right now. Not sure that'll happen, but you will have more episodes. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for stopping by. Feel free to join the community on Zoom. Feel free to comment on my Instagram, DudeKnits89. Comment down below this video. It was good to see you all. And I'll catch you on another episode or one of the Zooms or one of the meetups. Thanks, y'all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.